Hey, good morning, team. It is Tuesday, July 30th. I'm Amy Corr. I'm back again with Kevin Van Eck. I cannot believe it is almost the last day of July.
It is, yeah.
Amazing.
Almost the last day.
Amazing.
Right.
So today we're going to be talking about service and really 3 steps you can take to make sure that you are offering or elevating your service beyond belief. So we're going to jump right in. Coffee's hot. Yours is too.
Yes.
Let's jump into the next episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin.
Sounds good. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us again today. Service. There's many things we can't control, like the market, interest rates, all these things that are happening. We can control the level of service that we provide and we create. And that is something that can differentiate us when we're working with clients, driving not only the opportunities that are in front of us, but also future opportunities. People rave about service, and if you create a 5-star experience for your clients, they're going to tell others.
Yep. Well, all year we've talked about unreasonable hospitality. Will Guidara, who we had at Expo last year, really opened people's eyes, agents' eyes, to really just look at what they were doing for clients on just such a different level. And we've had so many great stories over the year so far of agents that have made just small adjustments, have taken a step back, looked at their business and just said, what can I do to not make this just a good or ordinary experience, but something extraordinary, right? Yes. And I think that always comes with offering amazing service. And I think numero uno in my book is the people who offer the best level of service are great communicators.
Agreed. Really
clear, really explain and get out in front of things for the client so that the client knows exactly what to expect. And the thing that I find so interesting is that when I was a managing broker, a few years ago during my time, when there were complaints or there were conflicts or there were issues, it all came back to one thing, and that was things were not communicated clearly or effectively. And so it sounds like, gosh, Amy, that seems so obvious or so easy, but think about it. As you get really busy, if you don't kind of have a plan for how you're going to communicate consistently to clients, you're going to be flying by the seat of your pants. You're going to forget to call somebody. You're going to have them chasing you instead of you really having a clear method for how you make sure that your clients really feel like you've got everything under control. And that's, it's a couple of areas too. I think it's when you're in a transaction, communication is so important. I talk to so many agents who make this one little pivot instead of just always kind of waiting for the clients to call, because it always happens, right? You have showings or there's things going on during the week. If you don't have a good plan and you say to them, look, this is when you're going to hear from me and this is when we're going to review things, they're constantly peppering you, whether it's a text or a phone call. So flip it, and a lot of our agents have done that, and make sure that you're really clear on when you're going to communicate and how you're going to communicate to clients. Then it makes them comfortable, and then you have to follow through on it. Right. So if every Friday is when I reach out to my sellers before the weekend, you make that really clear to them. You do that on the first Friday, you do that every Friday. And the cool thing is they like it, but it's something that they can start sharing with other people, that you actually have a great way of communicating. And I think the other thing with communicating is knowing your audience. Some people love phone calls. Some people like the live to live. Some people want text message. Some people are okay with email. Knowing what they like, but then also knowing when you need to pick up the phone. Like there's certain things that should be communicated over a phone call. There's other things that can be done by text or by email. But, I know this sounds almost basic, but, changing some of these little levers in how you're operating your business and setting up a communication plan that allows you to run the business instead of the business and the clients running you is going to be one of the biggest changes I think that you can make, and you'll see a big difference.
Agreed. I think there's a saying out there that if by the time the client reaches out to you, it's too late.
Yes.
That means there's a problem. That means you haven't been communicating.
I used to hate that. I used to hate that. I experienced it. I'm sure you did too.
Guilt.
And it would be like,
fear.
I needed to call them sooner.
That's right. And you were thinking about it 2 days prior.
Yes.
And there's something to be said about when you think about it, you're sending some energy into the universe. When you should have called someone, you're thinking about it, and then you see their name on your phone.
Yes.
So it's too late. So I love that. And speaking of, really making sure that you're setting up a system, processes. This sounds basic too, just like communication, but it's so important, and it's something that most of us really haven't set in place. And so having a process does a couple of things. You mentioned confidence and knowing what you're doing. So setting up a process so that when you're communicating with your clients, they know what to expect. They feel comfortable, and you alleviate any fear from what they're experiencing. And that makes them feel comfortable with you. So creating a good service is creating a process that you can follow that makes your clients feel comfortable. But having this process also allows you to do what you said about unreasonable hospitality. It's very hard to customize or personalize things and take the energy to do so in an effective way if you're flying by the seat of your pants in every transaction.
Right.
Every time you're working with a buyer, every time you're working with a seller, it goes a different way. You're not controlling the process. It's really hard to then create something that was unexpected. You just don't have the brain power or energy to do it, and then it doesn't happen, and then the transaction's over, and you're out of the opportunity to really do something special. You could do it later, but during the transaction is one of the best times to drive referrals because you are seeing them, you're talking with them.
Yes.
So if you have a process to follow, it keeps you on your game. You can communicate to your clients to give them that confidence that you know what you're doing and a path to follow, but it also allows you to really leverage unreasonable hospitality.
Yeah. And I mean, once you get your process in place, it makes it easier because to your point, then you can be in the moment with those clients. And the other thing I love about having a process is that, let's say you have 10 steps in your process, you do it 3 or 4 times and you say, you know what? Step number 4, I feel like it's good, but maybe I could do something different. If you do it enough times, you can figure out how to bring it up a notch and make it even that much better, but if you're constantly doing things differently, then you don't always really know what are the sweet spots of what's really working and what's resonating, right? So I love that process. And, and I know it's stuff that we struggle with, but I am seeing agents who are really trying to commit to that at all levels. I'm talking big brokers who are kind of like, I want to reinvent my process. So you're never too late to either put them in play or fine tune them. And then I love this one. It sounds super obvious, but being consistent. And consistency comes from, having a process certainly helps. But what you and I talked about is consistency is even consistency in you, right? How you show up. Like if you come into the listing presentation, top notch, dressing to the nines, put together, super organized, and then the next time they see you, you're sort of disheveled, you don't have your act together, how are they going to feel? They're going to say, was that the same Amy that we just met with, right? Or even emotionally, depending on your personality, right? And we all handle lots of, situations differently, but making sure again that you're showing up that calm, cool, collected, organized individual. We were saying, kind of back to the restaurant scenario, you go into a restaurant and you have a great meal, great experience, everyone waiting on you, all of the host, it was knocked it out of the park. You come back 2 weeks later, the experience is totally different, not great, subpar. People are going to question whether or not they're going to come back a third time, right? So I think Will talks so much about that. It's like, being on your A game, creating a process, but being able to consistently accomplish it over and over and over again.
Yeah, don't bait and switch your clients with how you show up.
Yep.
Effectively. So service, like we said at the beginning, is one of the key differentiators out there, because it's an opportunity for you to rise above, elevate yourself above whatever their previous real estate experience has been.
Yep. And I think, is it Maya Angelou? Okay. You just say it really fast, so it just flows. Yeah. She says, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you do, but they will never forget the way you make them feel. And I think that's what service does for people, right? Communicating well, having a great process, and being consistent. So on that note, look at me.
That was a good,
just throwing that in
close.
there.
Yeah, perfect.
I still have my surprises. Yes, I surprise myself sometimes. All right, on that note, make it a great Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be getting into August when we see you next week. But until then, make it a great day. And remember,
you got this.
You got this.